Hello there. Thanks for joining me today, and glad you set aside a little time to join us today in our discussion about parenting. You know, we're going to look at about three good topics today. Kind of raising kids today in the world in which we live. We're going to look at the DNA of a family, actually. What is the DNA of a family life? And then we're going to look at some of the issues that relate to those of you out there and those that are considering the issue of separation and divorce and the effects on children and how you handle this in a most positive way, for children. So we've got good three segments for you, and so get yourself a cup of coffee and kind of join us today now as we take a look at some of the issues of parenting. And remember, I'm taking it from my book, Doctor Teach Me to Parent, and it's a book written for you. If you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, or if you're soon to become a parent, the book is written for you. So have access to it through my website or the publisher, and certainly make good use of that in your own parenting and within your own home. Let me just say this to you as a parent. You're the first teacher your child ever has, ever will have. You're the first teacher. You're the strongest teacher. You're the most powerful. You're the most influential teacher that your child will ever have. So you have to really take on that responsibility that's yours. You're the first teacher, strongest and most powerful. But you're also the most powerful influence on your child. Of all the people that influence your children over the years, you're first and you're the strongest and you're the best. And children will follow your influence much more than they'll follow anybody else's influence. So take that issue kind of seriously and kind of look at yourself in terms of what kind of a parent am I, and how shall I do it? Ask yourself that question. How do I really parent? How do I parent well? How do I parent successfully? What's the product that I would like to have? It's like any company. It's any product that you make in industry or whatever. You go through a process, you develop a product, and you put it on a production line, and you produce it. And then at the end, you say, this is the product that I really wanted to produce. This is exactly what I wanted to produce. And we have to do that in our parenting skills as well. Is what is the child to look like when that child becomes a young adult and becomes adult? What are you envisioning? What are you hoping for? What are you trying to achieve as a parent? And sometimes you have to really kind of analyze that yourself in terms of what is it that I'm really doing and what is it that I'm really producing in my home and in my family and in my parenting relationship with my children. So let's take a look at raising balanced children today. Balanced children with all the bells and whistles, if you will. The children in our world today. How do you parent? And what are some of the things that you have to kind of keep in mind, and what are some of the things that you need to just tick off in your parenting relationships? Now, get a piece of paper and pencil and take some notes as you go through this with me. I'm going to read about 10 different points and pick them up and find the one that is really important for you and that you need to work on and need to either develop or you need to strengthen. Give your kids a social, moral root, or roots, if you will. That's the community in which they live. Make sure that they deeply know the community in which they live, the world in which they live, the country in which they live, the United States of America in which they live, or Sweden, or whatever other country you're from. Make sure that the root of the nationalism, the root of your country is well ingrained within your children. They understand it. They understand the history of your family, of your culture, of your ethnic group, of your racial background, that history is well ingrained and taught, to your children. Give them roots so that they know where they come from and where they have strength and where they have diligence coming from in their own life. So make sure they have a social and a moral root. Give them not just a surface religious faith, but a deeper faith. Not just going to church, if you will, once a year or twice a year or a couple times, but actually develop that faith in them so that they have an understanding of the Bible. They have an understanding of God. They have an understanding of the church in which they attend and so on, so that there's a depth there. That's what a social and a moral root, is all about. Secondly, make sure that kids have a soil in which they grow. A soil in which they grow is like the family. It's like the extended family. cousins and grandparents and aunts and uncles, and that's the kind of the soil in which your children will grow. Make sure that they have that extended family experience. The friendships that you have, bring them into your family life, bring them into your children's life, so that they have the benefit and the experience that comes with knowing a variety of people, not just within their own extended family, but beyond that, in terms of friendships that you bring into your own home. So that's kind of the soil, if you will, the people that you bring together, you bring into the life of your kids, so that they experience a positive experience and a growing experience, and gain wisdom and gain knowledge, through all these people that they associate with, all the companions that you bring in. Let them know your children. Let your children know them and interact with them, so that there's a strength there that comes from it, okay? Now, besides kind of the roots and the soil, obviously, you want to give your kids wings. Wings in which to grow. They live in a society. They live in a social world. They live in a community. Let them explore that community. Let them gain the experience and influence and the learning experience that they can have from the people around them, at the playground, at the school, at the church, in your neighborhood, and as you travel throughout the country, and as you travel throughout the community and throughout the valley or wherever you live. Give these kids wings. Let them experience a wide variety of experiences, so that they are not just within the home and not just within your own extended family, but that the world beyond them starts to be experienced and start to be lived out. So give them that wings to explore the world. Give them the freedom to explore the world. Give them the impetus. Take them. Go with them, so that the world out there is part of their life experience as well. They need a sonar system as well. A sonar system is like a value, like a decision-making process. It's kind of like doing things right, knowing how to do things right. Give them the sense of ethics. Give them the sense of values, the sense of empathy, the sense of compassion, a concern for others, a decision-making process, so that when they come into their life and they have to make choices, that they know how to make those choices. They know how to make them well. They know how to make them positively. They know how to make them quickly. So develop within your children a kind of a sonar system of doing things right. What are the priorities of life? What are the values of your family life? What are the things that you honor and you want to see your children become like and develop in their own personality? So that's what a kind of a sonar system, is all about. And then give them a decision-making process. Help them learn how to make decisions. When we make decisions, we kind of look at all the options. We look at the choices that we have before us. We weigh them a little bit and give them some kind of priority. Give them some kind of value. This is a better one than that one, or this is maybe better for now, but maybe it's even much better for later. And give them that ability to make decisions. And give them the opportunity to make decisions and choices. When children are young and small, yes, you may only give them a choice of maybe 2 options. But when they get a little older, maybe 3 options and then 4 options. And you give them that sense of being able to make choices and to weigh opportunities and to weigh the alternatives that are before them, and they can make a decision that they can live with and that actually is a good decision or a right decision, for them. So decision-making process is extremely important that you teach within your own home. And then give them a voice. Children need a voice. They need to be encouraged to be assertive. They need to be encouraged to express themselves, their values, what they want, their preferences, their options, and what they really want in life. Let them express that, their opinions, their preferences. You ask them, you encourage them to speak up. You have conversation time around the meal times. You have conversations as you drive in your car from place to place. You have conversations with them as they go to bed at night and you put them to bed. You encourage that talk. You encourage that ability to just express themselves and how they feel about things and what they want and what they'd like now and what they'd like sometime in the future. But get them talking and give them a voice so that they have an opportunity to not only speak but a freedom to speak. You got to give them that kind of sense of that freedom. We don't want children who are hesitant and withheld and are passive. We want children who are assertive and ability to express themselves in a wide variety of situations with a wide variety of people. Then also, our children live in a world that's made up of a globe. We are in a global world. We are in a vast world in which we live. People travel today. You know, the world has come to our doorsteps here in Fresno. People have come to the doorsteps wherever you live. People have come from other countries to your city, to your community. Get to know them. Get to experience them. Get to know the differences in cultures, the differences in ways of life. You see, make sure your children have this idea that they are not just living in a community of so many square miles, but that they live in a world that is expansive and it's represented by an entire globe. Make sure you build into the opportunity for your children travel in the future and travel across country and travel to other countries when that becomes possible and the opportunity presents itself. Remember, the world is large and you want your children to become part of that large world and not just to become part of a very small community. So make sure that you have this global idea and that the children explore it. And the children have opportunity to explore it, both in writing and reading and doing projects at school, but also traveling and meeting people from different parts of the world and different parts of the country. In our home, we've always had visitors. Every year, we probably have visitors from 15 to 20 different countries that come into our home. So that exposes our children, exposes us as parents to people of different ways of life, different thought patterns, different experiences, and you learn from that, and they learn from you, and it's an interchange kind of an experience. So the world is a globe. Explore it. Be part of it. And then you want your kids to have cheerleaders. You know, you want to bring cheerleaders into their life. Cheerleaders are usually you, the parent, obviously. But their grandparents, their aunts and uncles, their cousins, their friends, their associates, their neighbors. There's people that you have in your relationships that you want to share your children with and that they can experience a certain degree of joy and success, and that cheerleaders can be part of their world experience, to write them notes of congratulations when they accomplish something and to commend them and to praise them and to just be part of their world of support and encouragement through that cheerleading process. And then teach your children how to talk to themselves. That's kind of a strange way of saying it as a psychologist, but you want your kids to talk to themselves. You want to give them verses. You want to give them mottos. You want to give them poems. You want to give them phrases. You want to give them words that they can say to themselves as a source of encouragement. If you have a child that's a little anxious, you want to teach them the words like calm down or slow down or relax and let go. And they can say those words and experience kind of a calming down experience if they're anxious. Or if they're timid, just say, you can do it. You're able. You can do it. Try it. Put it forth. Maybe you can accomplish it. Give them that little sense of hope by giving them words that they can say to themselves and encourage themselves and develop in their own selves a kind of a message of moving forward in their life and being positive. So let them talk to themselves. Teach them how to do that. And then lastly, the word no is very important. Teach your children that there is a word in our vocabulary, and it's no. And the children need to learn that. When a child learns the word no, he learns boundaries. He learns that there are restrictions. He learns that there's an authority. He learns that there are things that you can do and there are things you can't do. There is a opportunity to just be strong and be positive, but yet there's an area where we don't enter. We don't do those things. Those are outside the limits of what's proper and right and acceptable. So teach your children the word no and use it. And because you're doing well for your children when you say the word no. And let me just add one last thing in terms of a parent. Make sure that you have a will. Make sure that you have an instrument known as a will, so that in the event of your death or you become disabled, your children are cared for. And that there's a way for them to not only be cared for personally, but also financially. So make sure that your assets and whatever you have is written on a piece of paper and it's in the form of a formal will, so that your children have that security, knowing that in your absence or in your death, they're taken care of. Hey, good to talk to you now this morning in this first segment. We're going to move on to another segment, and that is the DNA of a family. We have DNA in our own biology, our genetic system. But what is the DNA of a family? So take a look at our commercials, and we'll come back in a few minutes and look at the DNA of a family. Bye for now.
Choosing a Medicare plan can be difficult and frustrating. Susan Hatch can guide you through the Medicare maze and help find the right plan for you. Susan helps people understand the confusing and drastic changes that occur every year in Medicare. Susan will only recommend plans that will protect your assets and allow you to continue to see your personal doctor. As a 100% independent agent, Susan is not controlled by any particular insurance company to steer a person onto any one particular plan. Susan was awarded the #1 Medicare supplement agent in California. Look for Susan's Medicare question and answers every Monday in the Fresno Bee. Call Susan at 559-307-2287 and visit MedicareToday.net. Choosing a Medicare plan.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Hello there. Glad you're back with us now, and we're going to take a second segment here of our program this morning, and at least it's morning here where I am, but take a look at the DNA of a family. You know, what is the makeup of a family? You know, in our own biology, in our own person, you know, we talk about the DNA being a genetic code, so to speak, of what we are and what we're made of and the constitution of our own bodies. But within a family, it's the same concept of what is it that makes a family a family? What sets a family apart from another family? What are the things that really are the basic elements of a true and positive and working, you know, family? So we call this the kind of the DNA of the family. A research study was done not too long ago in which they asked a large number of people to identify their DNA as a family. What set them apart from somebody else? And what I've done now is I've kind of brought together a couple of the findings of that particular research study and going to propose, if you will, a DNA of family life. And it's kind of a model or as an example or a sampling of what might be good for you to consider. And if you don't have these features in your family life, this might be important to include as part of your family life so that you have this kind of positive DNA within your own, you know, family. Let's go through a little list here and just kind of identify them, okay? The best interest of the family. Always got to look at a family life in the sense of we work from the best interest of all family members. That's all members. Dad and mom and grandparents and cousins and all the children. We are one family. We're a unit. We're a unified family. And we operate in the best interest of all. Not the best interest of one, or not the best interest of the parent, or the best interest of one child versus another child, but what is in the best interest of the family as a unit. We have to think in terms of a cooperative and a unified group of people coming together and living life together. And that's what a family is. So we operate from the best interest. Number two is we have to acknowledge, you know, that a family does have a faith. And that faith can be a variety of different faiths, but we develop that faith. We make it important. We make it a value in our life as a family. We make it an essential element. We give priority to it. We give presence to it. We work together within the sense of developing faith. We attend church together. We read religious literature, together. We talk about religious topics together. We pray together. We do things that develop faith that is deeper than just a surface identification that I'm Catholic or I'm Protestant or I'm Jewish or whatever it might be. Make sure that faith has some kind of a strength and a depth to it. That's what a DNA is all about. And number 3 is this. Don't compete with your neighbors. Don't covet what your neighbors have, or don't compete with them. That's not important. Your neighbors are your neighbors. They have their life and they have their things. They have maybe more than you have, maybe less than you have. But don't covet. Don't be envious of what your neighbors have, and don't use your neighbors as a judge as to that you should have certain things or you shouldn't do certain things, or what you do or what you don't do. Your neighbors live their life, you live your life. That's what a DNA is about. You don't base your life upon somebody else. You base your life on what is important and what are the values of you as a family within the context of your own home. So don't compare your kids either. Don't compare your kids to the kids down the street or other kids in the classroom or other kids that you've had or the way that you were when you were a child. Your children are your children. They each have their own identity. They each have their own individual differences. They each have their own individual strengths. Celebrate those. Honor those. Develop those strengths. Not in a comparative way to somebody else, but just in the sense of identifying the strength of your children and then develop those strengths. One child is different from another child in your home, and treat them as separate individuals. Yet you're still one as a family, but that they each have different interests and they have each different abilities and different strengths and different goals in life. And you have to kind of juggle those, but treat your children individually in the context of their own strength, not in the context of how they compare to somebody else or how they compare to you when you were a child. Be careful on that one, okay? Now, anger and fear obviously is part of our life, and what you need to do as a parent is to help them learn ways to express anger, ways to express their fear, ways to express the fact that they are hesitant in some kind of way, or that they're mad and just downright angry. And within the home, you have to have ways in which anger is expressed, but appropriately and positively and constructively, so that a decision is made out of that, or changes are made out of that, and that anger doesn't keep on going day after day and month after month. So you take anger as a part of reality, but you teach anger expression, anger control, anger management within your own home. Sometimes you need help in doing that, but make sure that anger management becomes part of your family DNA, because anger is going to be there. You're going to be angry at times. That's just part of life. That's part of our DNA. But we want to introduce the idea of anger management so that they can express their own feelings, but do it in an appropriate and positive and constructive manner, if you will. Okay? Now, what about sexuality? Obviously, we have to have healthy and moral sexuality within the home. Modesty must prevail. Our talk must be moderated, must be controlled. Our expressions must be controlled, and the way we live sexually must be very carefully measured so that we don't give mixed messages and that we don't give the idea that sexuality is just anything and for anybody in any place and in any way. It's a question of being measured and being very circumspect and being very modest in terms of how we express our bodies and express our caring and our love and our intimacy with other people. So making sure that we have this sense of ability to talk about it, ability to express it, but do it in a positive but in a controlled, kind of manner. Now, truth. Every family has to live on truth. Every company has to live on truth. Every organization has to live on truth. Truth is where everything starts. You want to be known for your truthfulness as a parent. You want to be known as a truthfulness as a father. You want to be known for your truthfulness as a child. As a whole family, the neighbors, your friends, need to think of you as a family they can trust because you speak the truth. And you speak that truth in love and caring and with compassion and concern for other people. but truth has to prevail within your family. When you talk, we don't play games. We don't kind of tell one person one thing and tell somebody else another thing. We deal in a unified, truthful manner with all kids and with all parents and with all people that we deal with, making sure that your family is known for its truthfulness as you speak, in your home as well as outside of your home, okay? And then you want to build self-esteem. You want to make sure that your DNA is based on the development and the acquiring of self-esteem. As a father, your job is to build self-esteem within your children. As a husband, your job is to build self-esteem within your wife. As a mother, you are to build self-esteem within your children. And as a wife, you're to build your self-esteem within your own husband, too. And so on. We have a mutual responsibility to be esteem builders, if you will, and to build up that sense of confidence and that sense of pride and sense of honor within oneself. That idea of self-esteem is very important, that the children develop that within their home, because then they will have confidence as they move out of the home into their community and into the world in which they're going to live. So obviously self-esteem is hugely important, and you as a parent are the builders of that self-esteem. Respect. Respect is important. Respect for authority, you say. We want to make sure that children have that sense of who an authority person is, what an authority person is, who they are, and respect that person. And respect the honor, the codes and the laws and the policies and the procedures of school and work and home and community and our world and our society. It's to know that there is a rule, that there's a law, that there is some kind of an authority figure, and to respect that authority figure. And you as a parent, as you respect authority, your children will respect authority. But if you don't, your children won't. So make sure that that authority person in your life and in your home is honored and respected. And that's the father. That's the mother. They're the authority figures in the home. And the children are to be respectful of them. Now, love your neighbors. Let's take a look at that one too. Every family lives in the context of other people. We live in a neighborhood. We live down the street. We live with neighbors. We bring people into our home. We associate with people down the street, down the block, across town, in other towns, in other areas, other states. We're social people, and we enjoy relationships with other people. But what you want to make sure that your children learn that sense that we respect and we honor and we love people that we associate with, starting with our neighbors and then going out, from that. It's like the great commandment, to love others because you want to be loved yourself, and be caring about others, be compassionate about others, be empathetic, towards others. That's the kind of way that love for neighbors is expressed, through empathy and concern and compassion and caring. If they're in trouble, help them. If they have a need, help them. Be part of the community. Be part of your neighborhood. Be part of the people with whom you associate. And enter into their life when they have difficulties. And enter into their life when they have successes and joys. And be happy and be expressive and be complimentary, to them at that time, as well. And making sure that in your family, you're a communicating family. Make sure that you talk. Make sure that there's talk going on around the table, in the living room, in the car, at all times in your home, that you are a communicating family. One of the hardest things that I see in my own clinical practice with couples is that the one person was raised in a family that did not talk, and the other person was raised in a family that talked a great deal. And then they marry, and now they have trouble, because the person that did not talk will not talk. And the person that came from a talking family wants to talk. And now they're in great conflict, and that marriage is at stress right from the very beginning. So making sure that with you within your family, within your own children, teach them to talk, teach them to communicate by doing it, by living a life of communication and sharing, making sure that kids share their life from day to day, from school and all the experiences that they have. Making sure that you are a communicating family, because it's important that they learn how to communicate. But here's the deal. Make sure that you communicate even if it hurts, even if there is wrong, even if there is forgiveness that's required, even if there is something that should not have happened, let's talk about it. Let's sit down and talk about it. Don't stand and talk about it. Some of these things need to be talked about while you sit, so that there's a comfort level and there's a support and there's a safe place, to talk. But making sure that communication is just part of your life, whether it's happy talk or it's even hurtful talk, okay? And then support each other. Making sure that you support each other. You're a team. Remember, you're a team. You're a team as a family. When somebody hurts, help them. When somebody is in sorrow, support them. When somebody is happy, celebrate with them. Just be that team player so that we have that sense of we're one and we're moving together as a team. And then lastly, teach problem solving. Make sure that your children grow up in a home where they have learned problem solving skills. It's to solve a problem, not fix blame for the problem. It's solving a problem, not just complain. It's solving a problem together, mutually, so that everybody wins, everybody benefits from the solution of that particular problem. And then making sure that we are on a forgiving basis when we are in a problem situation, that we forgive and that we overlook and that we do the things that are necessary to prevent that problem from occurring in the future. That's the issue. You really want to make sure that we don't have that sense of despair and just kind of blaming and then we walk away. What needs to be done to fix the problem so it doesn't happen in the future? That's the kind of the mindset that needs to be in the context of every family life. That's what DNA is all about. That's what family is all about. That's what the heart of a family is about. That's the guts of a family, if you will. These points that we've just mentioned, these are extremely important. And you need to look at that screen and look at the items on it and say, okay, number 2 and 4 and 6 are the ones that I really need to work on. And then we need to strengthen within our own family. We're doing pretty well otherwise. Or maybe there's only 1 or 2 of the points that you really need to work on. If that's the case, identify it and work on it as a family so that you strengthen that area of your family life and that your DNA as a family becomes more pronounced and more profound and much more on a day-to-day living basis and experience. So your children will carry that with them on into their life and certainly on into their family as they marry and have children and obviously move on into their own careers and so on. So making sure that you teach these now because your children are going to carry that with them. That's the product you're trying to produce. These are the items that make up a child's strength and make a child's stability and make a child unique from other people and make him strong in the community that he will enter into later on in life. These are the skills that are necessary for him to have. These are the traits that you want him to have within himself or herself. And then making sure that that child carries that with him and lives that way in their own life. And you've done your job as a parent then. Then you've done your job as a parent. But if you fail on these things, you failed as a parent to that degree. So take this seriously and begin to figure out how you can make a couple of these points become more alive and more real within the context of your own family. So get this idea about a DNA. What is your DNA? What sets you apart as a family from another family? What is the true unique characteristic of you as a family? So when people think of you as a family, what do they think about? What's the idea that they think about? Is it truth or is it questionableness? You say? That's kind of an idea. So check your DNA, making sure that you're strong and positive and that it works well, for you. So anyway, nice to have you with us in section number 2. We're going to move on to segment number 3 now in a little bit. You can take a look at a view of the commercials, some of the people that support this program and support what we're doing and help them out. Become part of their program. And you may want to help them out financially because a lot of these people who are on the screen or coming up now in the commercial break, depend on donations for their work. Help them and utilize their services if at all possible. So we'll see you in a few minutes, and we'll take on the next section for the divorced family. Now, if you know somebody that's divorced or in the process of divorcing, give them a call and tell them to look at this last segment. It'll be an important one for them. So we'll see you in a few minutes, okay? Bye for now.
This program is brought to you in part by Avante Health. Sound mental health is an important foundation to productive living. Happy employees are productive employees. Employers have the option to carve out the mental health component of their general medical plan to Avante, a fully insured specialty health plan focusing on mental health, substance abuse, and employee assistance programs. Avante offers full service benefit management, from eligibility determinations to in-house claims processing. Avante can handle all aspects of your benefit management needs. Avante Health provides EAP mental health services to the employees and families of local and national companies, businesses, and governmental agencies. For more information, call Avante Health 800-498-9055. 800-498-9055. Visit AvanteHealth.com. Dr. Alan Hedberg is proud to have Avante Health as a sponsor of this program.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. See, there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010 and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back. And we're now entering into our third segment this morning of Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Remember, we're using my book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent, and I encourage you to go to my website. That's booksbyhedberg.com, booksbyhedberg.com. Go to that website and order a copy, for your own use. And I'm drawing from it on each of these programs and walking through the book a little bit and making sure that you have opportunity to benefit, whether you have the book or not, but benefit from the idea of learning how to parent your children effectively and appropriately and in a very positive and strong way. We want you to be a successful parent. We want you to be a happy parent. We want your children to turn out to be effective citizens and effective students and be a contributing member of your family and be a happy member of your family, and that you have joy together as a family. That's what we're hoping for. That's our goal, in having these programs in the morning. So making sure that this is for you and that you benefit and that your children then ultimately benefit. That's the product that we're after. We want a child that's effective and competent and socially wise and makes decisions and learns to relate and learns how to care for other people and be sensitive and compassionate for other people as well. So this is your opportunity, as a parent, to really pick up some advice and some suggestions and ways in which you can strengthen how you parent within the context of your home. Whether you're a single parent or you're in a two-parent family, it doesn't matter, but it's a matter that you be an effective parent and do the very best you can. And these are the ideas that we're trying to bring out, for you and your own parenting skills. Now, it's true. It's an unfortunate part of life. People marry and people divorce. People marry, they have trouble, they have stresses, they try to fix those stresses, they work on that for a period of time, and at some point, many of people make a decision that this marriage shall not be, should never have been, perhaps. And they initiate a process, of course, known as divorce. So we have a large number of single parents now raising children separately from each other, or just a single parent because the other parent has really abandoned the child altogether. But whatever the situation might be, the children of divorced parents struggle. The children of divorced parents do not do very well. They really shake and have difficulty academically, socially, and in their own personal development, and in school, and in all ways socially. They struggle. So it's a tough one. If you divorce and you're trying to raise a child and apart from another parent, that child is going to pay a price. That's just the fact of life, just the way it is. Now, you can mitigate that. You can moderate that. You can soften the negative effects upon children if you do certain things as a parent, as you divorce and as you are a single parent. There's things you can do to help a child gain that strength and gain that confidence back that otherwise might be lost for good. So we're going to walk through some of these ideas and some of these ways that you as a single parent really need to tune in and making sure that your children get the best deal possible, even though they live within the context of a single parent, okay? Or a remarried kind of situation. So deal with these kind of issues as we walk through them and see where you could strengthen, where you could do better, where you could just develop these skills and making sure that your children benefit as much as they possibly can. Okay? Now, first of all, you have to resolve your own feelings about guilt and anger over the divorce. You know, divorce is usually an anger situation. It's usually something that is very distressing and very sad and very destructive in many different ways for everybody. But the idea is, if you're going to do the divorce, if you're going to make that as a decision, you're going to make that a final action, you have to resolve your feelings about that in terms of the guilt that you have and the shame that you have and the anger that you have about it. You see, the divorce is between two parents, not between parents and children. Parents and children don't divorce. It's the parents that divorce. So making sure that there is some kind of resolution between the two of you that divorce, but that you protect your children from that guilt and from that anger and from that just negativism that otherwise they are experiencing and have perhaps been experiencing for a period of time. So reduce the anger, reduce the guilt, get together, and whether you're in therapy or in counseling of some kind, do whatever you need to do to resolve those feelings so that you can move on now and be an effective parent. Let the divorce proceed. Let the divorce go away. And now focus on the children. That's the issue. It's the now focusing on the children that I want to make sure that you get in your thinking today as we talk, together. Now, seek forgiveness of the past wrongs. You as a couple have done a lot of things wrong to each other. You need to ask for forgiveness. You need to seek forgiveness from each other. But you've done a lot of wrong with your children too. You've done a lot of wrong in front of your children. And there needs to be a process of forgiveness, of your children forgiving you, and you forgiving your children, and you asking for forgiveness, and making the corrections and making the changes so those behaviors don't continue to go on and on and on. It's an enormous amount of forgiveness that has to take place. Everybody has to forgive everybody, if you will. Everybody's done wrong. Everybody needs hurt resolved. Everybody needs resolution. Everybody needs healing. And we heal through forgiveness. We heal through the recognition of what's been wrong and how we can forgive each other and ask for forgiveness and then make the changes so that those behaviors don't keep on happening and don't occur again in the future. They stop, if you will, okay? Now, also, keep in touch with your kids regularly. If you don't live with your children primarily, or you're with your children only on an intermittent basis, keep in touch with your children. Making sure that there's regular contact with your children. Today there's Skype, there's email, there's texting, there's cards and letters. There's all kinds of ways that you can be in touch with your children. Physical contact is best. But when you're not in physical contact, make sure that you're connecting with your children through some kind of a technological media, if you will. Use whatever you have available to you so that you maintain contact with your children. Kids need to know that they have not been forgotten, that they're not going to be forgotten. You see, when you divorce, a child says to himself, what's going to happen to me? You see? You're all talking about what's going to happen to the two of you, where you're going to go, how you're going to live, how you're going to relate, and all those kind of things. But a child says, what's going to happen to me? And we often don't answer that for the child. We often don't talk to the child on that way. So, but you need to do that to make sure that the child has that question answered. What's going to happen to him? But also the child needs to have that question answered. Are you going to forget me? Are you going to forget all about me? And if you're the parent that leaves the home and leaves the presence of the child, you need to make sure that you do everything you can to maintain contact with your children, and regularly and frequently. And the issue is that of consistency. It's not a matter of being in touch with them for a week or two or a month or two and then fading off into no man's land. No, that's not the issue. It's in touch with them all the time, regularly, year upon year, and on into their adulthood. You don't divorce your children. You divorce a spouse. You don't divorce children. Children remain in your life. Children remain important to you. Children remain part of your skill development and your training and your teaching and your parenting skills. They're part of that, and make sure that they are part of your life all the way through and forevermore. Now, house rules. House rules are essential, particularly in a divorce situation. Mother has her house rules, dad has his house rules. They need to be compared and they need to be integrated as much as possible. It's true that mother can't tell father how to live, and father can't tell the mother how to live once you divorced, because that's what you did. You decided not to influence each other. You decided not to make decisions together. You decided not to cooperate together. You decided not to talk to each other. You decided not to have a relationship with each other. But you did decide to keep in touch with your children. So when you set up house rules in your separate homes, share them with each other so that there is a understanding, even if there's not an agreement, but at least there's an understanding of what the house rules are here and the house rules are over here, so that the children can be encouraged to live in accordance with the house rules of the home that they are at the time, especially when they go back and forth between two homes, which is often the case in a divorced family. So make sure that you have house rules and that you share them with the other parent, and that if you can, try to bring them together. Try to make them as mutual as possible. Try to make them as similar as possible so the children make it easier. So whatever home they're in, they can live according to those particular rules, and they can follow them much easier. That's the way to support children. Rules support. Rules give strength. Rules give guidance. Rules give boundaries. You see? Rules give security. So have house rules, but share them. But don't tell each other how to live, because you've decided not to do that. And that comes to an end when you divorce. But you can at least inform, and that you can do, and then try to work together that way. Now, also, keep a memory record. When your children are in your home as a dad or the children are in your home as a mother, build scrapbooks. Build a memory record. Build some kind of a journal, some kind of a record of when the children were there and what you did and what happened and some of the experiences that they went through and some of the things that were funny and some of the things that were sad, and just keep a little bit of a record so that the children have a history of their life as they grow older and as they move out into their own life, that they can always go back and look at that scrapbook and look at pictures and photos, and they can always read the journal and see what life was like during those years and during those ages. So build some kind of a memory system and make sure that that memory system is for them. And it's a record that they can take on into life. And you may have to duplicate it in some way if you have 2 or 3 or 4 children, so that they have that record, or at least make it available to them, later on. So you want to build a memory record of the contacts you've had and what you've done and the richness of the life that you've lived together, and then improve on it so that the kids have a way of having an experience that they will always remember when they're in your home as a father, or when they're in your home as the mother. That's the memory that you want to build them, so that they have strength and they have kind of a depth of character, because they lived in these 2 homes that were separated one from the other. Now, stay involved in the life of your kids. Stay involved. You may not be together. You may not want to be involved with each other as mother and father, as husband and wife. You may not want to be involved in that. That may be the decision you made, not to share those experiences together. But you have not decided to not share the experiences with your children. You experience their life. You enter into their world. You enter into their experiences deeply. And you encourage the children to enter into your life and into your world as a father or into your world as a mother. You see, it's a parent-child relationship that has to be strengthened and to be maintained, even though the husband and wife relationship has broken. So making sure that the children and parent now share life in a wide variety of ways. Go to their school events. Go to their sporting events. Go to where their friends are. Know their friends. Know the parents of their friends. Be part of their life. Be part of their experience. But also making sure your children are part of your life. Have them come to your work. Have them come to your office. Have them come to your classroom if you're a teacher. Have them become part of your life so that there's this bond and this connection between the mother and the child and the father and the child, even though mother and child have decided to go their separate ways. The strength has to be between the parent and the children, and then you help the children build that bond between them and among themselves as siblings. Now, number 7, a 509 plan is important to have if you have a divorcing situation. A 509 plan is just merely a financial instrument. You can get it from a bank, you can get it from a financial institution, that you put money into an account for the children's education, college education in the future. If your children are 2 or 3 when you divorce, start a 509 plan and start putting money into it every month, every year, so that that child, by the time they get ready to go to college, there's some money for them to go to college. Don't let them become short-handed in the area of college education. If you divorce your wife or your husband, if you divorce there, don't divorce your children. Provide for their future. Provide for their college. And a 509 plan is one way to do that. Start it when the children are young. Start it as soon as you possibly can. Put a little money into it, then keep adding to it. It's like a savings account. But it's only for the purpose of education. The only purpose you can use that. So making sure that each of your children have a 509 plan. And also, if you're divorced, I hate to say this, but this is the negative part, set up a war chest. If you are in a divorce situation and one of the two of you are always going to court, always cantankerous, always litigious, always suing, always complaining and bringing you back into court, that's costly. That's very, very costly. So you need to put money into an account just for the purpose of litigation, just for the purpose of court proceedings, just for the purpose of trying to deal with the legal aspects of it and paying for the attorney fees and all that. So don't get short-handed. If you're in a divorce situation, money needs to be put aside into what I call a war chest. Now, hopefully you don't have to use it. Hopefully later on in life you can take it out of there and use it for other purposes. But set it aside so that if you are in a litigious situation and you have a lot of legal haggling going on, you need funds for that. So put up a war chest to make sure that funds are available if that is the case. And then also, make it possible to be in touch. Use all the means that you can to be in touch with your children. Making sure that you just shower the children with your presence. Be where they are. Go where they go. Be part of their world that they are in. Go to their school. Have lunch with them. Meet them after school and have an early dinner together. Making sure that your presence is part of their life. You can talk to them by email and by text and by phone and all that. You can do that. That's good. But personally, be part of their life in a personal way, a hands-on kind of a way. So if they're in Scouts, go to the Scout meetings. If they have a play that they're part of, or they have a concert that they're part of, or if they're in music lessons, go to those. If they take judo, go to those lessons. Go where children go. Be where children are in their life and where they experience life and where they are training in their life. So be part of their life so that you are not an absent parent. Don't be a phantom father. Don't be a phantom mother, as we talked about last week. Making sure that your life is in their life and that you are one and that you are a unified family, even though the two of you as parents have decided to live separately from each other and not coordinate with each other, but you coordinate in the life of the children. That you do. But go where the children are, be part of their life, and experience life from their perspective. and let them experience life from your perspective as they come into your life and into your world, into your office, into your workplace, and meet your friends and go and do the things that you do so that you can share your life with them as they share their life with you. And then lastly, read on parenting. Read on parenting. You know, this is not an easy thing. Get a book. I recommend my book, Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Get a book and read. If you don't get my book, get another book. Or if you have one, start reading it. Read a chapter a day or a chapter a week, or just periodically pick it up and just read a chapter and just kind of try to integrate into your life experience some of the things that are said in the book. But read and improve your parenting. Your parenting can be improved no matter how good you are as a parent. You can still be better. And you can take the rough edges off. You can take the anger away. You can take the hurt away. You can take the strained relationships away and just build on that as part of your life and part of your life with your children. But be an effective parent and get a textbook that will help you be an effective parent. Like in any other area of your life, gain knowledge and you'll do better, okay? And then let me just add another point before we close. No parent alienation syndrome shall prevail. Do not alienate the children against another parent. Mothers, don't alienate your children from the father. Father, don't alienate your children from the mother. You both have contributions to make to the children's life. You both add to the richness of a child's life. You may not add the same thing and you may not add equally, but you both have contributions to make to the life of the child. Don't exclude one parent from the other. You may need to manage it, you may need to control it a little bit, you may need to organize it around there a little bit, but making sure that both parents are honored in the eyes of your children. You want the child to honor their father, to honor their mother, to think well of their father, to think well of their mother. And you have to behave that way. That demands that kind of respect. But you want to encourage that with each other as well. So don't alienate. Stay away from that kind of thing whatsoever. And don't let your children hear what I call the tense talk between you. If you are talking on the phone in a very tense way between yourselves as a divorced couple, then call when the children are in school. Talk on the phone when the children are outside, away, or in school, or in somewhere else, so they don't hear your tense talk. They don't need to hear that. Making sure that when you talk and the children are present, it's positive, it's pleasant, it's easy talk. But the tense talk you save for when the children are not present, and deal with it separately between and among yourselves. Anyway, this has been the program today on Dr. Teach Me to Parent. Again, pick up the book and use it as a good textbook. And before we end, let me give you just one tip for the day, okay? The union of the family lies in love. And love is the only way to reconcile authority and liberty. Now, here's the deal on this. Here's what this means. If you exercise authority with love, then you are setting limits. You have control. You have positive influence. But if you exercise your authority without love, you are not going to have a happy camper at the end. You're going to have a child that feels over-controlled, over-protected, over-limited, you say. So it's authority with love. That gives liberty. That gives freedom. That gives a sense of openness, you see. So making sure it's authority with love, not authority without love. Authority without love is control and just limitations and just harshness. We don't want that. So the union of a family lies in love, and love is the only way to reconcile authority and liberty. So go to my website, booksbyhedberg.com, and also you can pick me up about 4 days a week on my podcast, which is known as the psychologyreport.buzzsprouts.com. The psychologyreport.buzzsprout.com. That's my podcast. I talk about a wide variety of topics in the area of psychology and daily living. Pick it up on the internet. So I'll be looking for you there as well. Otherwise, see you next week. Bye for now.
Opportunity isn't always given a door to knock on, so we built one. The door to our kids' futures is often crowded by temptation and misdirection, making it difficult for them to reach their full potential. But once they enter that door, our club door, Inside is a place of hope and opportunity. The second home for the nearly 4 million kids we serve every year after school and in the summer. Inside our doors, youth development professionals and mentors provide the guidance, support, and encouragement needed for every kid and teen in an enriching and safe environment, no matter their circumstances. Boys and Girls Club set the standard as the #1 advocate for youth during the out-of-school time. We assure success is within reach for all kids and teens in America, with club members on track to graduate from high school with a plan for the future, demonstrating good character, and living a healthy lifestyle. We're leading America's youth, fostering success well beyond the basketball court through hundreds of programs, from robotics to the culinary arts, providing unlimited opportunities for those seeking. This hope and opportunity builds character, creates leaders, and helps all kids define their future, ensuring young people find their passions, reach for their dreams, and achieve their full potential. Much can be found inside our 4,000 doors nationwide and on military installations around the world. Boys and Girls Clubs is the opportunity for all kids, and our doors are open. Great futures start here.
Hey there world, I'd like to introduce you to someone really special and really cool. This is my mom. My mom is an amazing person. She is a writer. She is a newly transplanted Texan. She is a woman of faith and she loves 80s music. She also is a person with a very rare genetic muscular disorder called Pompe disease.
Pompe disease is a terminal, progressive illness. It's a genetic enzyme deficiency which ultimately leads to the destruction of your skeletal muscles. Those are the muscles that control how you move, your arms, your legs, and your torso. When your jaw or esophageal muscles are affected, you can no longer eat and require a feeding tube. When your diaphragm is impacted, you can't breathe on your own any longer and require a trach ventilator. When your legs are impacted, you will no longer be able to walk without assistance. You can lose bladder and bowel control. It affects children and adults, and eventually it kills you. It is rare, but it's real.
Now we're lucky. My mom's still able to walk, though she uses a cane to get around most of the time. She's still able to breathe unassisted, but she can't go upstairs, and she needs some kind of assistance to get up from a seated position, like if she's sitting in a chair. She has to examine every activity ahead of time to know if there are things like handicap parking, accessible buildings, and even functional bathrooms. All of her activities depend heavily on the weather. A windy day can be just as dangerous as an icy one. She jokes that you can tell what kind of day she's having by whether she can lift her arms high enough to do her hair. And she recently moved into a one-story house specifically with the idea that she's one day going to need a wheelchair to get around. Those are the kind of things she has as everyday concerns. Her normal everyday fears are things like dropping her keys or falling in public and not being able to get up. That actually happened a couple years ago. She fell and fractured her pelvis because she was unable to break her fall.
I receive an enzyme replacement therapy every 2 weeks for life. It's a 6-hour IV. It helps slow the progression of the disease, but it is not a cure. And it costs about $100,000 every time you sit in the chair. Insurance takes care of most of that if you're lucky, but not everyone is, and the expenses add up very quickly. Things like wheelchairs, accessible vehicles, special housing, travel costs to medical conferences, doctor's appointments, and clinical trials. Luckily, there is a group that helps families with Pompe handle these costs. The United Pompe Foundation is a group connecting funds with real people who need help. This was founded by a father whose son has Pompe disease, and they could not find the resources that they needed. They assist patients and their families with medical costs and other expenses that they need to survive day to day. Every little bit helps.
There are a lot of things in life that we really take for granted, and sometimes the scariest things in the world are the things that you can't see. So today we're asking for you to help us shed a little light on a rare and scary disease. Please share this video with your friends, your family, strangers, anybody that you come across. Education is a big thing. It makes a big difference. And another way to make a really huge difference in someone's life is to go check out the United Pompeii Foundation. Their website is in this video description. Click on it, check it out, and go ahead and donate some money if you're able to. Again, this is an organization giving real help to real people who are amazing and need it, like my mom. I love her, and thank you so much for helping us out. Thank you so much.
CentralValleyTalk.com